So welcome to this fourth and final part of my series on my build of Airfix's Victory model. In this episode I'm going to be making and attaching the flags, completing the rigging, attaching the anchors and finishing off the model. So let's get into it. I'm only going to be attaching the three largest flags. I don't like the banner and the small flags, the England expects every man message, has actually got inaccuracies in it. I'm cutting out just inside the black lines of the flags. I bend them outwards at first so I can clearly see where the middle of the flag is. Pop a cocktail stick in the middle and then use some PVA glue, taking care not to get any glue onto the cocktail stick. As with the sails, I cross the cuts at the corners. It makes it easier to remove the flags. So there are the three flags. I put a box on them to get them to stick together, but before they're completely dry I remove them and bend them and put them in some cocktail sticks on a piece of polystyrene so that they look like they're blowing in the wind when they do finally dry. I'm attaching the flag to the bow. The top of the mainmast and at the stern. Moving on to the rigging, I'm putting on rigging on the underside of the bowsprit here. The spars of the bowsprit. And adding the jibs. To make the rigging at the top of the masts, I take 3 pieces of thread and knot it in the middle. Place it over the mast and then attach the threads of cotton to the cross trees. Of course you'll only need 2 pieces of cotton for the mizzen mast. Bit of CA accelerator there just to speed up the process. I also do some rigging at the top of the masts from one end of the spar around the mast to the other end of the spar. Some more rigging at the bow of the ship. And some rigging that passes from one mast to the other. Now I only do some of the rigging. The full rigging for the Victory is very complicated, but there is an excellent website of someone who has done a thorough job with the rigging using the Airfix model, and I'll include a link to that website in the description for this video. Again, be careful not to make the rigging too tight, otherwise it will pull the masts out of alignment. I'm also taking cotton from the top of the masts down to the channels, going between the channel and the chains. Gluing it into place. Holding it tight until it dries and trimming it. And I also run a piece from the end of the spanker through to the channel amidships to pull the spanker away from the flag at the stern. Now here are some 3D printed items. They're called heart blocks. There's one of them. They're called heart blocks because they look like a heart. So you run rope around those and then run lanyards through the hole in the middle. So here goes the rope. Again, it's just that woolen yarn I used previously. Here's some of the light cotton, which again I used previously. I wrap that around the rope. Glue everything to hold it in place. And there are 4 heart blocks ready to go. I then use the same cotton thread tied off, thread through 2 heart blocks to create the lanyard. Another process that you just have to keep going round and round to build it up. Tie it off, some more PVA glue, there it is. There's the 2 of them, and I'm going to attach them onto the foremast there, down to the rods protruding out of the bow, and there they are on the left and the right. The 6 remaining blocks I attach to the rigging that's coming down from the top of the masts, just for a bit of colour. And that's the rigging complete. Now moving on to the anchors. I'm inserting the twine. It's important to insert it around the anchor like that, then it sits nicely. Crimp the twine into place. Got some lightweight rope coloured cotton here. tie it to the twine, wrap it around the two pieces of twine, I also attach a piece of black cotton. This has to sit above the twine and will be used later. Again, some PVA just to help it stay in place. So just to explain, there are 4 anchors attached to the ship. On each side of the hull there is a spare anchor, and then there's the anchor in use, which is attached to the rope. Looking at the port side, the spare anchor is attached to the channel there, and the fluke goes into the netting there. The anchor in use is attached to the side of the hull there, and the fluke is hooked under the 4th chain from the left there. The spare anchor has ropes attached under the channel there, hooked around the anchor, and there. The anchor in use has a rope attached to the spar protruding from the ship there, and under the channel and around the anchor there. So I'm cutting some of the netting on the deck. I don't remove it, I just cut it so that the fluke of the spare anchor can be inserted into it. I'm putting on some cotton on the underside of the channel, gluing it on. This will serve as the ropes. So there is the spare anchor, which I'm attaching to the side of the channel and inserting the fluke into the netting. I take the rope and hook it around the anchor, gluing it to the top side of the channel and trimming it. Now I'm putting on the rope for the anchor in use. Trimming that, we only need 1 piece of rope here. The fluke of the anchor is hooked into the chains under the channel. The rope on the channel is attached, and then that rope that we attached to the anchor previously is attached to the bow spar, and there we have it. And here is the same on the other side of the ship. I'm now attaching the davits. These are used to lower the rowboats into the sea. I also put them on the port side. Despite what the instructions say, I didn't put them on the stern of the ship because there's no sign of them on the actual Victory. I used some putty to make a base on the stand for the nameplate. Once dried, I painted the putty black. I got this Victory nameplate made at a local key making and engraving shop and attached it to the stand. And there is the ship, complete. The whole build took 5 months of part-time work. So I hope you found that useful and interesting. It's simply my take on the build. If you've enjoyed the series, please click the like button and the subscribe button. It's much appreciated. Happy modelling!